Hello, and welcome to my channel. Welcome to my video. Welcome to my room. Today, I'm going to be talking about a few of the stories that I plan to read this summer. Some of them are full length novels, and other ones are short stories. I have a lot of books that are collections of short horror stories that I like to go through. I wrote down some of the books that I'm planning on reading this summer because if I don't write it down, then I'll never get to it. I have to make a to do list if I'm going to do anything ever. Unfortunately, I don't read as much as I would like. Typically, it takes me anywhere from 2 to 3, maybe even 4 months to finish one book at a time. Obviously, it can depend on how many pages are in it, but typically it takes me just way too long to finish a story. So I figured maybe if I wrote them down and shared them and gave myself a little bullet point list to check off, that it would motivate me to finish them a little bit more instead of getting 2 chapters in and then forgetting about them and shoving them onto my bookshelf for 5 more years. The first book that I have that's a collection of short stories is Stephen King's Night Shift. The first one that I'm going to be reading is Night Surf, which I am a little bit iffy going into because it's an apocalypse sort of story. All I know is it's in Maine on a beach and it's called Night Surf. So, I'm assuming that there's water somewhere in the equation. But I'm not really the biggest fan of apocalyptic horror. Not that I like dislike it, it's just not typically my cup of tea. The other story from here that I'm going to be reading is Children of the Corn. I actually haven't seen the movie for that. Maybe I will if I end up really liking the story. But I know that that is also set in a summery environment, which, even though I haven't seen it, I've seen some clips of it. And I will say the kind of stretch of road that they're on does remind me a bit of Jeepers Creepers, and I do really like that movie. The next story on my list that I've actually been meaning to read for probably 3 years now is On Stranger Tides by Tim Powers. This has been sitting on my bookshelf for about 3 years. I bought it a while back because I wanted something to read during the summer that was summer horror themed, whatever you want to call it. And I was like, oh, I'll save this for when I go to the beach. It'll be perfect. Didn't read a single page while I was at the beach. Then I got home. I think I read one chapter of it and I liked it, but I guess not enough to continue because I don't know what happened. I just put it back on my bookshelf and kind of forgot about it. And every summer since then, I've been telling myself, "Oh, I'll read it this summer. I'll read it this summer because it's the season." And then I never do. But this summer, I will read it. I will read it, I promise. I know that it involves ghost pirates, zombies, and I eat that shit up. I love, love, love ghost pirates, ghost ships, haunted lighthouses. I think it's because I live in New England, so it kind of like naturally naturally I grew up in that sort of beachy coastal environment. It just really it hits home. It hits home and I love it. And another book that I've already started reading, actually, as you can see, is I am not sure if it's Breverton or Braverton, but I'm going to be honest, I'm just a little bit too lazy to look it up right now. But either way, I'm just going to say Breverton. Yeah, Breverton's Phantasmagoria. One thing that I really like about it is that it's organized into different contents where chapter 1 is people, chapter 2 is ghosts and monsters, chapter 3 is legends, and so on and so on. I'm very excited for chapter 5, which is Mysteries of the Deep. Another thing I really love about it is that it's alphabetical, like every chapter is completely alphabetical, and I appreciate that so much. When you're trying to look for stuff in a book and it's not organized alphabetically, it pisses me off so bad. And then finally, the reason I actually ended up buying this book was because I think the artwork in it is so pretty. Every page has either like a little drawing or sometimes there will be artwork that takes up an entire page, sometimes even 2 pages. And it's all in a very like, I guess I would say like Renaissance style. I don't really know enough about the different periods of artwork to confidently say that, but I would say, it looks old, and I really like that. I really appreciate that. I think it's very pretty artwork, and I feel like more books should have cool artwork, especially if you're talking about spooky stuff and supernatural beings. Include some artwork. Like it'll look cool. It'll look awesome. The next book, second to last book that I have is one of the big ones that has a bunch of short stories in it. It's classic horror stories, and my friend actually got me this, I think two Christmases ago. The story that I'm going to be reading in it is The Willows by Algernon Blackwood. Again, I hope I pronounced that correctly. It's another short story. I think it's only about maybe 40 pages long. And I didn't look up too much of it because I don't want to spoil stuff for myself. But all I know is it involves some people that are canoeing and they're in a river and there's a willow tree. And it's a horror story. It's like a psychological horror. That's all I know. And that's all I needed to hear. I was sold. The last book that I have is a collection of Penny Dreadfuls. And this story isn't really a summer story. It is The String of Pearls, or Sweeney Todd, the Demon Barber of Fleet Street. And it's by James Malcolm Rymer. Yeah, I haven't watched the movie Sweeney Todd. I haven't seen it yet. I've seen so many clips. I'm pretty sure I've also watched the kill count of it on the YouTube channel Dead Meat a while ago, because I definitely remember bits and pieces of it, and I know like certain characters die, so I kind of have spoiled it for myself a little bit already. But either way, I figured if I'm already planning on reading the book, I may as well read this book, and then afterwards I can watch the movie once I finish it. Maybe I'll watch it sometime in the fall. I don't know. But for now, it's going to remain unwatched until I finish this story. And that is all of the books that I have for you today, all of the books that I'm planning on reading this summer. I feel like it's just enough to where it's challenging me to read a bit more than I usually would, but I'm not including so many books that I'm kind of setting myself up for failure. I feel like it's just the right amount, especially since there's a nice balance of short stories with actual novels. It'll mix up nicely. But I hope that your week, your day, your night, your morning goes well, and I'll see you again next time. Bye.